Steem is the most positive influence in my life. Let's make it the most influential thing. Let's unite. Let's make Steem cohesive. Let's give Steem direction. In order to properly understand the big picture, everyone should fear becoming mentally clouded and obsessed with one small section of truth. Zunzi. Steem is a blockchain-based social network which monetarily rewards its users for content they create and vote they make. Users get paid with Steem, which could be equated to some sort of shares. Posts with the most shareholders' votes rise to the top of steemit.com or any other websites who use the Steem blockchain. Steem is the most positive influence in my life. Subtitles. Part 1. Teaser. Joy. Steem solves fundamental problems, wealth concentration and freedom. Steem conflicts away. Steem as an investment. Steem versus fiat currency. 2 billion Steemians, a thought experiment. Part 2. Teaser. The future isn't set yet. Why and how I became a witness. Life's fundamentals. Steem scalability announcement. End notes. Bringing closure. Teaser. Let's imagine a parallel universe where there's 2 billion Steem power holders and each have $200 worth of Steem power. That would put Steem market cap at $400 billion compared to today's Facebook market cap of $315 billion, which is the sixth biggest market cap of all publicly traded companies. Apple occupies the first place at $586 billion. Factor in sales, profit and assets of both of these two companies, and everything I said previously about Steem and this parallel universe doesn't seem so parallel anymore, but more like a very probable future. How fast and what would be the impacts of such a shift is anyone's guess. Facebook has 1 billion daily users and 1.7 billion monthly. Joy. In the previous chapter I established the fact that what we put our attention on determines who we become. After all, we are the sum of what influenced us, whether it be from our conscious attention or subconscious attention. Steem solves fundamental problems. The number one thing I want people to put their attention on right now is the fact that Steem solves two of the most fundamental challenges humanity has to face. First, money or national currencies are issued or created out of thin air for the sole benefit of a small group of people at the expense of everyone else, and Steem flips this on its head, where money is created by the rules set by the whole for everyone's benefit. Second, even if someone were to conclude otherwise about money creation, wealth is nonetheless concentrating into the hands of an ever smaller group of people, getting ever more powerful while a growing number of people are becoming ever more powerless. I discuss how Steem solves those two problems below. Wealth concentration and freedom. Wealth concentration leads to centralization of power and vice versa. The control of information, attention, or what influence society and individuals is a prerequisite to any consolidation of power. As Liam Kane has put it, education can never be politically neutral if it does not side with the poorest and marginalized sectors, the oppressed, in an attempt to transform society. Then it necessarily sides with the oppressors in maintaining the existing structures of oppression, even if by default. For the most powerful people, corporations and institutions, Steem is another place where control of information needs to be exercised. Every empowering thing, whether it be information, technologies, etc., create existential risks to the existing current structures of oppression from which the power in place profit. Richard Shaw, drawing on Paulo Freire, might have put it even more succinctly when he said, "There is no such thing as a neutral education process. Education either functions as an instrument which is used to facilitate the integration of generations into the logic of the present system and bring about conformity to it, or it becomes the practice of freedom, the means by which men and women deal critically with reality and discover how to participate in the transformation of their world." People, corporations and institutions always derive their power from some sort of consensus and must always seek to sway any consensus, reasoning and discussions that are challenging their power. After all, people in power have much to lose when their system get dethroned. Steem conflicts away. All attempts to sway Steem consensus will inevitably play in Steem's favor. If someone or a group of people try to acquire a growing percent of the total Steem power in an attempt to reward the consensus they want to see being adopted, this will make the price of Steem rise, and thus every rewards will also rise accordingly. Growing rewards will lead to Steem gaining an influence over an ever larger group of people. Most of these people, if not all people, will have incentives to understand the truth about wealth and power concentration, centrally issued currencies, as well as the many ways in which Steem is a much better alternative for everyone. Another option to create or sway Steem consensus is to use words, to which I want to add, our words have meaning. Our lives have value. Our voices have power. United we stand. Divided we fall. Let's unite. Let's create valuable consensus that benefit everyone fairly. I love the quote below. I don't want unnecessary punishment happen to anyone. This, then, is the great humanistic and historical task of the oppressed, to liberate themselves and their oppressors as well. The oppressors who oppress, exploit and rape by virtue of their power, cannot find in this power the strength to liberate either the oppressed or themselves. Only power that springs from the weakness of the oppressed will be sufficiently strong to free both. Paulo Freire. Steem as an investment. When Steem market cap doesn't grow, then Steem wealth only moves around and no new wealth besides new content enters Steem's economy. One way for Steem market cap to grow is when people feel strongly about some consensus and they buy Steem to strengthen this consensus, voting for the content and people that back this consensus. The opposite is also true. People who feel the need to challenge already established consensus will also buy Steem power, but with the intent to reward consensus challenging the already established one. The greater the risk you are willing to take, the stronger your faith in your opinion, and the greater your resulting profit or loss will be. Dan Larimer. There's many other reasons to buy Steem power, but I feel like those two really help at giving a good overview at what Steem could become. Let's look at it this way, because everyone have incentives for the market cap to grow, and because Steam shares become more valuable when a growing number of people pay attention to Steam, everyone have incentives to vote for posts they recognized as generating the most positive influence, which will keep people inspired to come back for the valuable content they are seeing, as well as helping in producing such content. There lies one of the many reasons why, in the long run, it isn't economically sound for people to pivot based solely on friendship. This might be even truer for large Steam shareholders. In resume, people favored by the current system of fiat currency have strong incentives to perpetuate the lies that their system is fair, while we Steemians have strong incentives to expose the truth about their Machiavellian system and reward, vote and strengthen those who expose and oppose the centralized control of currency issuance, which is a wealth and freedom robbing mechanism of unrevolved scale. If Steem truth annoys central banks or other powerful institutions who feel their power threatened, then they'll have to buy Steem and power up, as well as use words to try to sway the Steem consensus in their favor, and whoever doesn't create consensus dilute their Steem stake to those who do. Also, when comes time to vote, I don't think people will limit themselves to only consider what's in the post, but they will also consider what is publicly known about who made the post and if the two align. In other words, I don't think people will end up voting for people who create positive content but have a very destructive way of life, and this is another pretty awesome thing to keep in mind. The whole Steem tamper-proof money issuing and banking system, and in this case more particularly the way Steem handles and rewards the most beneficial empowering information anyone can come up with, have me hopeful for a much more enjoyable future. Steem versus fiat currency. Steem is the only technological solution in use today that solves the problem of wealth concentration power centralization. Steem are issued in a decentralized manner according to a set of publicly known rules that most benefit everyone and can't be secretly issued or counterfeited. On the other hand, fiat currencies are issued by centralized power. They are subject to counterfeiting, and the rules regulating their issuance, or in other words, who get what of the newly created money, is inevitably in the total control of those in power. The rules controlling Steem issuance can be changed through a weight voting system called DPoS. For obvious reasons, there's an incentive for every Steem holder to vote rules that benefit everyone fairly. Money occupies a central role in our society and thus our lives. The greater influence someone or something has, the greater its potential is for consensus. As I reported in my introduction, the wealthiest 1% owns more than 50% of the world's wealth, or more than the 99% of people, and the wealth keeps getting even more concentrated. I just thought it was worth resharing, so I keep remembering. Wealth concentration and currency issuance aren't just two topics. They're fundamental to our society. I'm just one guy, among many billions, trying to put the most fundamental problems and thinking about their solutions in the forefront of our minds where they belong. We all have our personal challenges, but let's not forget the big picture, how it affects us all, and how Steem in conjunction with other cryptocurrencies seem to bring viable solutions. Steem is a unifying tool and probably the best tool we have to solve all the tyranny we see in the world. Steem leads to an ever-growing decentralization of power where everyone can build on freely available ideas put out by others. What is determined to have the most positive influence on Steem rises at the top and in return influence the most people. It's interesting to note that no one has the monopoly over enlightening thoughts or experiences that happen in a day, and that the technology and whole design is to allow everyone to share those experiences and ideas in the most mutually beneficial way possible. All trades only cause resources to change hands. The goal is to move physical resources to the highest purpose the most efficiently. Dan Larimer. Everything good about Steem is essentially lacking from the current economic system of fiat currency. The more centralized power gets, the less available empowering ideas are being freely circulated, leading to a vicious cycle. But now the Steem cat is out of the bag, so to speak. 2 billion Steemians, a thought experiment. Let's imagine a parallel universe where there's 2 billion Steem power holders and each have $200 worth of Steem power. That would put Steem market cap at $400 billion compared to today's Facebook market cap at $315 billion, which is the sixth biggest market cap of all publicly traded companies. Apple occupies the first place at $586 billion. Factor in sales, profit and assets of both of these two companies and everything I said previously, and this parallel universe doesn't seem so parallel anymore, but more like a very probable future. Facebook has 1 billion daily users and 1.7 billion monthly. In fact, to some it can seem far-fetched to think it won't happen, or that Facebook market cap wouldn't have faded into oblivion much like many other companies. How fast this could happen is anyone's guess, so is how much of a societal change such a shift would cause. Visa's market cap is $190 billion, Western Union $10 billion, and Bitcoin is $12 billion. To give a better perspective on such a scenario, let's imagine there's a top trending post that calls the biggest corporate bank to immediately lower their profit margin 1%, to redistribute this 1% to their customers, and if this isn't done, calls on everyone to boycott this bank. I'm not making allusion to tackling centralized money issuance here. I doubt any company, institution, or government put it into a comparable situation would wait for those kind of posts to be the top trending post before announcing something. Also, other banks would certainly chime in with statements of their own. The more such a company would wait, the more their shares price would risk serious collapse. Steem shares would probably skyrocket now that every companies would somewhat be answering to Steem consensus, Steem direction, or Steem unit. It's now easier to foresee even more radical changes Steem could bring. This is just a very rough thought experiment, but I hope it gets the message across. This might be just wild musing too, but no one knows what the future holds.